Um, for how do we meet those challenges, in particular the additional challenges, but also the initial challenges that we discussed today in terms of actually creating the FMEA, the structured approach, and selecting the team and all that. Well, there's, I suppose, two different methods that are out there. Software is unanimously the idea, for how to do this. A lot of companies still use spreadsheet applications, and I've highlighted some of the restrictions and limits with spreadsheet applications throughout this discussion. Um, but there are other aspects of spreadsheets using spreadsheets that are limiting in terms of being able to report on open actions or being able to do high-level reports across the whole organization quickly. And that's where a dedicated software package comes into play and is most useful. QA Assistant Studio is the dedicated software package that we developed for meeting these challenges in the FMEA scope, and it also supports a number of other documents. Um, so for today's discussion, I'm just going to talk about the features in terms of what QA Assistant Studio has to offer. There are other applications that are out there if you want to consider those. But just to compare what a dedicated software package can do versus spreadsheet software, that's what we'll be using for our benchmark. So a dedicated software package is intended for FMEA development. It's whereas a spreadsheet software package is intended for spreadsheet applications in terms of maybe it's used for accounting or maybe it's used for some number calculations. It's primarily number based as opposed to data based in the sense that it's not designed for FMEA development. Um, Part of that is, when you want to add, for example, a new failure mode for a particular item or a particular process step, well, you have to start in a spreadsheet application, you have to start inserting cells and then merging other cells and everything to make it look nice and to be able to be read easily. With the dedicated software package, all of that takes place, instantly. It's all done automatically. Um, Also, with the dedicated software package, most of them are database driven. So, in terms of researching those lessons learned, they can be done automatically and instantaneously. So, our QA Assistant Studio, for example, goes out and researches all of your FMEA documents at one time and pulls out the relevant information for the particular study that you're on. So, if you're working on a particular process step, for example, and you've identified a particular failure mode, um, it can help you identify all of your potential effects for those failure modes. It can help you identify all your potential causes and even the controls that you're using to mitigate the risks for those failure modes. With the spreadsheet software, that's a very manual process. You have to manually go back and research each of your documents and pull out the information that's important to the current discussion. Um, Also, the ability to report, again, if you want to report highest RPNs, or if you want to report, maybe you want to discover all of the products or processes that have a particular potential cause. Maybe you've identified a control. Well, in a dedicated software package that has reporting like QA Assistant, you're able to run those reports very easily and instantaneously, whereas a spreadsheet process, again, is very manual. Also, you have the ability to assign actions, maybe some email reminders. The dedicated software is able to actually perform, document completion checks to ensure that you've completed the FMEA appropriately, whereas spreadsheet software doesn't know that a field is supposed to be empty or not, so it doesn't do that. Also, the ability to link documents to each other and to products and processes. We talked about, when you try to link a process FMEA to a control plan or a process flow, and the difficulty, in associating which process flow corresponds to which PFMEA and that. Also, there's the link between which products have which process FMEAs, for example, or design FMEAs. So you might have several products, and each product might have its own FMEA. How do you correspond each product to each FMEA? A dedicated software package may allow you to do that. The QA Assistant software does. The spreadsheet software, you'd have to get additional third-party software to do that, maybe a SharePoint site or something like that. But then again, reporting through that isn't as straightforward because it's not designed for these types of documentation. Also, built-in revision control or version control and the ability to email approvers. Again, you might need third-party software to do that. The spreadsheet software just isn't capable of doing that. Built-in access control, again, might require third-party software for spreadsheets. And the ability to work in a web-based environment. So, for example, for everybody to be working off of the same document at the same time, requiring no downloads, for example. You don't need to worry about which version of Microsoft Excel or Open Office that the person that you're sharing the document with has. Just being able to access that information through the web is key, especially nowadays where we're seldom in our offices. We're on the move all the time. Being able to just take out our iPad or BlackBerry and access that information instantly would be a huge asset. So just, I suppose, again, the objectives of a dedicated software, it's really designed to simplify the documentation process and remove all the headaches that correspond to, formatting the document to be in the correct industry standard formats, or even for our severity, occurrence, and detection ratings, ensuring that we're using the consistent information across all of our documents. Things like that that add up and take time to extract when you're creating the documents. Being able to link the documents not only to each other, as we talked about, the process flow control plan and PFMEA, but also linking those documents to particular products. That's a huge time-saving feature as well when you're conducting audits, and maybe you're doing a process audit for a particular process. You can drill right into that process and see exactly which documents you should be following. That's a huge time-saving feature. Also, you might be able to identify quickly the team that's responsible for that and bring them to the meeting as well. Maintaining document integrity as well. We talked about some of the challenges, or assigning read and write access for each individual document, and also ensuring that we're updating the most recent version of that document, or most recent revision. The idea then is that if we can make this process very easy, it'll help get our team buy-in. And if our team buys into it and we're updating these documents on a regular basis, then we'll be able to benefit from that as a supplier, because we'll be able to reduce our cost, reduce our waste, and get us to market sooner, which of course is increased revenue for our company. From our customers' perspective, we're helping to meet their ISO or TS requirements, or meeting their customer-specific requirements, for example, and also improved audit results, because we're able to identify the team members and the relevant documents quickly, and that's going to impress our customers as well. Also, being able to offer our products at a reduced or more competitive price point because we're having such great yield is a good way of generating recurring revenue from our customers as well. If you do decide to research this type of software for dedicated software, there are some templates that you can get for the likes of spreadsheet applications or small database applications. Just with that, a lot of times you run into the same sort of challenges that we've talked about today in terms of running into silos or scalability issues. The other side of the spectrum, there's some very complex and very expensive software that you can get. And not only is there initial buy-in for those, but also because it's so complex, you need extensive training, which is expensive. And then nowadays, with everybody seemingly to switching roles and moving around organizations, introducing or introducing somebody new to the process can be very expensive and time-consuming as well. So our software is designed to be affordable, easy to use, so you don't need the extensive training. And very effective and efficient for this type of documentation. And we're customer focused. We're constantly updating our software. It always has the latest and greatest tools that are available, formats that our customers are using, etc. And we take our customer suggestions on board as well in our development. And again, easy to use and web-based. So in terms of training, for example, is reduced significantly. Our software is web-based, so you can again use it if you're on your laptop in your office, you want to go down the hall, or you want to go down to the shop floor. You can bring your laptop or your iPad down to the next office in the next room. Maybe it's a meeting room, and just pull up the same document that you were working on. It also makes it easy to share with colleagues and add new users. So just conclusions from our discussion today. We talked about why have an FMEA. The answer was to reduce costs and improve products. We talked about how to overcome FMEA challenges. We talked about defining and limiting the scope of the FMEA study. We talked about identifying and selecting the core team members for the FMEA team. We talked about a couple different approaches, both of which were structured, but the second of which might be more beneficial in terms of productivity and managing time when you're creating an FMEA, to use the column by column approach. We talked about how to leverage existing knowledge and also the importance of brainstorming. And we talked about continuous improvement and following up open actions. We also discussed how to meet those challenges with software, and we talked about the advantages of using a spreadsheet